Hello and welcome. We're back in Genesis chapter 31, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the chapter heading. The Lord commands Jacob to return to Canaan, and Jacob departs secretly. Laban pursues him. They resolve their differences and make a covenant of peace. Laban blesses his descendants, and he and Jacob part company. Verse 1. And he heard the words of Laban's sons, saying, Jacob hath taken away all that was our father's, and of that which was our father's hath gotten all this glory. Verse 2. And Jacob beheld the countenance of Laban, and behold, it was not towards him as it was before. Verse 3. And the Lord said unto Jacob, Return unto the land of thy fathers, and to thy kindred, and I will be with thee. Verse 4. And Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah, and the field of unto his flock. Verse 5. And he said said unto them, I see your father's countenance, that it is not towards me as before, but behold, God, the God of my father, hath been with me. Verse 6. And ye know that with all my power have I served your father. Verse 7. And your father hath deceived me, and changed my wages 10 times, but God suffered him not to hurt me. Verse 8. If he said thus, the speckled shall be thy wages, then all the cattle bear speckled. And he said thus, the ring straked shall be thy hire, and then bear all the cattle ring straked. Verse 9. Thus God hath taken away the cattle of your father, and given them to me. Verse 10. And it came to pass that all the time that the cattle conceived, have I lifted up mine eyes, and saw in a dream, and behold, the rams which leaped upon the cattle were ring-straked, and speckled, and gristled. Verse 11. And the angel of God spake unto me in a dream, saying, Jacob. And I said, Here am I. Verse 12. And he said, Lift up now thine eyes, and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring-straked, speckled, and gristled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. Verse 13. I am God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar, and where thou vowest a vow unto me. Now arise and get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred. Verse 14. And Rachel and Leah answered and said unto him, Is there any yet portion of inheritance for us in our father's house? Verse 15. And we not counted of him? Are we not counted of him strangers? For he hath sold us, and he hath quite devoured us also our money. Verse 16. For all the riches which God hath taken from him our father, that is ours, and our children's vow. Now then, whatsoever God hath said unto thee, do. Verse 17. Then Jacob rose up, and set his sons, and sent his wives upon camels. Set his sons and his wives upon camels. Verse 18. And he carried away all of his cattle, and all his good, which he had gotten, the cattle of his getting, which he had gotten in Paddan Aram, for to go to Isaac his father in the land of Canaan. Verse 19. And Laban said to shear his sheep, and Rachel had stolen the images that were her father's. And verse 20. And Jacob stole away unawares to Laban the Syrian, in that he told him not that he fled. Verse 21. So he fled with all that he had, and he rose up and passed over the river, and set his face toward the Mount Gilead. Verse 22. And it was told Laban on the third day that Jacob was fled. Verse 23. And he took his brethren with him, and pursued after him 7 days' journey, and they overtook him in the Mount Gilead. Verse 24. And God came unto Laban the Syrian in a dream by night, and said unto him, Take heed that thou speak not to Jacob either good or bad. Verse 25. Then Laban overtook Jacob. Then Jacob had pitched his tent in the mount, and Laban with his brethren pitched in the mount of Gilead. Verse 26. And Laban said to Jacob, What hast thou done, that thou hast stolen away unawares to me, and carried away my daughters as captives with the sword? Verse 27. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away? Oh, shoot. My bad. Hold on. Verse 27. Wherefore didst thou flee away secretly, and steal away from me, and didst not tell me, that I might have sent thee away with mirth, and with songs, and with tabret, and with harp? Verse 28. And thou hast suffered me not to kiss my sons, and suffered me to kiss my sons and my daughters? Thou hast now done foolishly in so doing. Verse 29. It is the power of my hand to do you hurt, but God of your father spake unto me yesternight, saying, Take heed that thou speak to Jacob neither good nor bad. Verse 30. And thou now, though thou wouldst needs be gone, because thou sore longest after thy father's house, yet wherefore hast thou stolen my gods? Verse 31. And Jacob answered and said to Laban, Because I was afraid, for I said, Peradventure thou wouldst take by force thy daughters from me. Verse 32. With whomsoever thou findest thy gods, let him not live. Before our brethren discern thou what is thine with me, take it to thee. For Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. Verse 33. And Laban went into Jacob's tent, and into Leah's tent, and into the two maidservants' tent, but he found them not. Then he went out of Leah's tent, and entered into Rachel's tent. Verse 34. Now Rachel had taken the images, and put them in the camel's furniture, and sat upon them. And Laban searched all the tent, but found them not. Verse 35. And she said to her father, Let it not displease my lord, that I cannot rise up before thee, for a custom of women is upon me. And he searched, but found not the images. Verse 36. And Jacob was wroth, and chode with Laban. And Jacob answered and said unto Laban, What is my trespass? What is my sin, that thou hast so hotly pursued after me? Verse 37. Whereas thou hast searched all my stuff, what hast thou found of thy household stuff? Set it here before thy brethren, that thou may judge betwixt us both. Verse 38. This 20 years have I been with thee. Thy ewes and thy she-goats have not cast their young, and the rams of thy flock have I not eaten. Verse 39. That which thou hast torn of beasts have I brought not unto thee. I bear the loss of it. Of my hand didst thou require it, whether thou stolen by day or stolen by night. Verse 40. Thus I was, in the day of my drought, the drought consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep departed from mine eyes. Verse 41. Thus have I been 20 years in thy house, and I have served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times. Verse 42. Except the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac hath been with me, surely thou hast sent me away now empty. God hath seen my affliction and the labor of mine hands, and rebuked thee yesternight. Verse 43. And Laban answered and said unto Jacob, These daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Verse 44. Now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. Verse 45. And Jacob took a stone, and set it up for a pillar. Verse 46. And Jacob said unto his brethren, Gather stones. And they took stones, and they made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. Verse 47. And Jacob called it Jegar Sahadutha, but Jacob called it Gilead. Verse 48. And Laban said, This heap is a witness between me and thee this day. Therefore the name of it was called Gilead. Verse 49. And Mizpah, for he said, The Lord watched between me and thee, and we are absent from one another. Verse 50. If thou shalt afflict my daughters, or if thou shalt take other wives besides my daughters, no man is with us. See, God is betwixt is witness betwixt me and thee. Verse 51. And Laban said to Jacob, Behold this heap, and behold this pillar, which I have cast betwixt me and thee. Verse 52. This heap be witness, and this pillar be witness, that I will not pass over this heap to thee, and thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. Verse 53. The God of Abraham and the God of Nahor and the God of their father judge betwixt us, and Jacob sware by the fear of his father Isaac. Verse 54. Then Jacob offered sacrifice upon the mount, and called his brethren to eat bread. And they did eat bread, and they tarried all night in the mount. Verse 55. And early in the morning Laban rose up, and kissed his sons and his daughters, and blessed them. And Laban departed, and returned unto his place. So that was the end of Genesis chapter 31. There was a lot that happened in that chapter. But for the most part, it was Jacob taking his newly begotten flock and getting into the mountains and running away because God told him to go back to the land of his, well, I guess his promised land, but more so his land of inheritance, which is back where his father Isaac is. And then Laban comes and gathers a couple men to go with him and tries to pursue Jacob and his wives Rachel and Leah, and his wives Rachel and Leah have stolen from Laban, and now they are caught in the mountains. And anyways, that was the end of Genesis chapter 31. We're going to head into Genesis chapter 32, and I will see you there. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.